Hello, it's Jerome Corsi. I'm here. Anyone on the board today?
Oh, yeah, we're here, Doc.
Great.
How are you?
Hey! Welcome home.
Well, thank you. I had to take a little bit of time today to do some writing and kind of get everything in order. It's easy to spend the time here, and everything else has to be attended to later.
Hey, Doc. Oh, where'd he go?
He's got to be here somewhere. You didn't lose him, did you?
He went.
He's not holding his mouth right.
That was a tease.
Yeah, I'm back right here. Can you hear me now?
Yep.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yay!
I just clicked the wrong thing and managed to close Discord there for a second. So I'm back, and I will stay for a while today. That I've had to recover a little with my voice too. I've been talking so much lately. I'm finding it wearing out my voice. So I've had a little bit of a rest today and a little bit of writing today. I got an article published, which I think was one I'll post up here. I guess if you can give me the live chat link, I'll post it. It's right here.
That's hold on.
Let's
get the one that ends in /live.
/live, yeah. Yeah, if we post it up, this one here does not end in the /live.
I have it up right now.
I got it. Here you go.
Okay, good.
There you are.
There we go. That's one. Yeah, that's good. So it's been a, I had to get a little bit of catch up with the writing done. Hold on a second. Yeah, I had to mute the, so I didn't get a double feedback on that one. Okay, let me post on the Twitter that I'm here for a while. And it's been a slow news day. I've been watching it all, the news develop today. It seems like everybody's having a hard time getting back into Washington after a little bit of a break.
What about Devin Nunes?
What has he done today? I heard he was asking for, fill me in on what he's been doing, because I've been really writing.
He's asked he proposed 10 questions that he wants answered by March, all about the Steele dossier.
And who did those go to?
I thought it said Comey and Mueller.
Probably Comey and Mueller. Yeah, that'd be right.
Byron York is the man that posted it.
Byron York posted it. Okay, let me give me a link on that for a second. Today is today's Tuesday. It's February 20.
Link is down below.
Okay, 6:15. I think I can say at least until got another one, some radio at 7:30. So I'll try to stay until 7 o'clock.
Sorry, I was in the wrong.
Okay, so I've got that up there. So that'll get some people to join us now. Okay. Let's see if we can just pick that up. I'd like to get that link picked up. Here we go. Devin Nunes. Yeah, that would be good. He's also pressing to get the actual FISA requests from Department of Justice and from the FBI. And I think if we can get those, that's going to be also very important. These things these are going to be the main issues. I mean, what's happening, I think, a couple of things that I've been observing. One is this whole Russian troll case that Mueller filed, plus today charging a London lawyer with another case of lying to the FBI, makes it really look like he's completely out of gas. Like, this is it. I don't see that Mueller has any real investigations of any significance going anywhere that would justify all the hoopla that has been given to him. That he, I just think the investigation looks like it's stalled. That there is nothing more. What's been the discussion here about that? Anyone agree or disagree? I'm interested in getting a little reaction to that.
I don't know if apparently this guy Alex Van whatever his name is somehow gets tied back to the Ukraine, and there's a link to two people in the Obama administration. So I'm wondering if that if it doesn't stall, if he might be going that direction.
Possibly, although the Ukraine, he's got Manafort and he's got Rick Gates. There's nobody else he's really going to get on that. I mean, Trump was not involved in the Ukraine deal. That was a Manafort-Gates contract. And he's already indicted Manafort and Gates on that. I mean, I think what's going to happen is that the judge is going to look at the basic way the FBI developed evidence. I think these 302s McCabe indicating have been rewritten. From the FBI interrogations. The FBI were rewriting their interrogations to increase culpability of the people like Flynn. The case is going to be thrown out because you can't have evidence tampering on part of the FBI or the Department of Justice, which is, again, the kind of basic. This is what Wiseman and these other prosecutors have been known for, is basically being more interested in convictions than in justice and to win at any cost. I think how you could have both of these cases ultimately thrown out, which would leave Mueller with zero as a result of there being no collusion with Russia, and also the cases that he did develop, he developed basically, in part at least, on tainted evidence. I think that's where it's headed. I mean, I could be very wrong on it, but I think that's exactly where it's headed. Anybody have any comments on that?
No, it makes sense.
Yeah. I also think, we don't have any Q posts today, and I think Q is kind of indicating we might be going into a bit of a quiet period for a while. So like we had over December 25th. I don't know if it'll be 10 days, but I think we may have a period where we're not going to hear as much from Q, or maybe nothing for a few days. I wouldn't be surprised.
Dr.
Yes.
Corsi. Yeah, we were going over the post earlier today, and that wasn't part of the conversation. Maybe somebody could fill it in, but it looked like they were finding numbers, and maybe the report will drop on the 7th.
Which report is that?
Voter fraud.
On the 7th. Do people think it's going to be the 7th that soon? Did you do that by reading it through trying to figure out what number was in that open space, or how did you come up with 7? March 7th.
Yeah, it was a 2-minute gap between the tweets and the last Q post that was mentioning something about that. I can't remember.
Okay, so that seems to be one possibility. I also think that there's a change in the entire momentum here, that the Justice Department, has, I think, maybe under Sessions, I'm hoping, will begin to do some serious investigations here. For instance, of how the FBI, worked to apply for these FISA warrants. I mean, I'm hoping that Sessions has some activity going, that Wray and Sessions are actually working together to begin some of these investigations that need to be undertaken. Clearly, Q is saying through last week that he basically still trusts Sessions and trusts Wray. and the 2018 is going to be a glorious year. They posted next that, President Trump's 2016 October tweet when he said that Hillary Clinton should have been prosecuted and should be in jail. Said she's running for president of the United States in what looks like a rigged election. Well, I think we're going to find out it was a rigged election, and I think Hillary may be headed for some serious criminal investigation and prosecution. It also seems like there may be a case starting up in Arkansas. Hold on a second. Yeah. Okay. Just my wife on the intercom had a couple of, I may get interrupted for dinner or something a little bit earlier today than 7, but today's been a day when I'm trying to regroup and get some writing caught up and some things organized that I haven't been able to do with so much time on the queue on the internet. But I don't think the rest of the week is going to be as easy to take some time off. It's going to be, I think, pretty busy news cycle starting tomorrow. I also want to comment some on the on this whole movement that we see going for the guns and gun control, even pressuring President Trump to make some concessions on gun control. I think what basically we're doing with the gun control are minor. I mean, maybe the bump stock or some age issues with, AR-15s or things of that nature, but they're not. Except for the kids who are, in the buses and with the mainstream media agenda that we need gun control. I don't see that there's really any serious effort on gun control coming around. Oh, thank you. Someone said good job on Coast to Coast last night. I thought George did a nice job. It was quick, but I think we got the point across that it will be until after the Olympics, including after the Paralympics, before I think President Trump gets serious about military action in North Korea. But I expect it's coming around. And I don't think President Trump was taken off balance by the goodwill of these games. I think he's focused on the military threat that's posed by North Korea, and he'll remain there. But what I want to comment on, and I want to get some discussion on this because we quote with Cooper's book, and I think I'll write an article about this tomorrow in InfoWars, with Cooper's book showing how, you had this whole Project Orion in the CIA, and I reread that passage again. I think I'll write an article on this tomorrow, saying that Bill Cooper wrote this book, Behold a Pale Horse, in 1991, and he was saying that that basically that using drugs and hypnosis on mental patients in a process called Orion, the CIA inculcated the desire in these people to open fire in schoolyards and thus inflame the anti-gun lobby. The plan is well underway and is so far working perfectly. The middle class is begging the government to do away with the Second Amendment. And I'm watching Fox today. Fox is all on this, not just Shep Smith, but Fox as a whole is on this theme of gun control and that we have too many school shootings. I mean, we're going to have school shootings until we harden the targets, until we protect the entrances of these schools. Put, like I'm saying, ex-military or get armed guards of one kind or another to screen everybody coming in to the schools. You cannot have these schools be gun-free zones and expect that you're going to be able to protect the kids. It's just not realistic in the kind of world we're going to be living in and are living in. And it's astonishing to me how effective the CIA has been going back to the whole idea of MK Ultra in fundamentally changing the culture into a drug culture and B, give up the Second Amendment culture. These kids are, including the shooter, this Cruz, disturbed kids who are getting getting prescriptions from psychologists or psychiatrists from some drugs that are very psychoactive and induce feelings of suicide and homicide. And how we can not understand that. I haven't heard a single person in television today comment on this in a way that makes sense. They're all parroting the mainstream media CIA lie. And, they're not thinking that once we get guns taken away, the schools become targets both for terrorists and for crazies who will still get guns. Nobody in Chicago seems to have any problem getting guns. Nobody in Washington, D.C. has any problem getting guns. But yet they're two of the cities that have the most strict gun laws in America. Now, I'm probably here preaching to the choir. I think probably most people who are listening will agree with us. But I'm looking over here on the YouTube chat. I'm seeing, again, people are saying, our schools should have police. All our schools have police at school, and extra when kids going in and getting out of school. That's good, but you need police at the entrances to the school on a constant basis. They need to have the entrances guarded, just like when you go into a public building, when you go into a U.S. government building in Washington, D.C. Geo over here said, we all thought UK Ultra was being used on spies and assassins, but they were using it to control the American citizen. That was the whole purpose, that when they were looking at these things, when they were looking at these events, what the CIA understood was that the American population could be controlled, that the CIA would be able to, run its control agenda. The CIA is not a conservative organization. It's a globalist organization. It's a new world organization. It exists for the power and glory of the CIA. And these are things I think that we need to continue to insist on, be part of the dialogue. I'm looking over here, people, metal detectors. Yes, we need to have metal detectors. We need to be able to get into secure targets, these schools being much more target hardened. Okay, let's get some comments on that. Anyone, in terms of how this dialogue has been proceeding today?
We have had a heated dialogue in some cases with the bump stock issue. Most of us here have concluded that if Trump folds on the bump stock issue, then it's going to put a big dent in his credibility with the pro-gun crowd, which is a great deal of his supporters.
Yeah, I don't see. I think I also have a suspicion about how Trump is proceeding on this, the same way he did on DACA. Remember when Trump came out and he said on DACA, I'm happy to sign this and I'm happy to sign that. I just want Congress to come up with some agreement. Well, I think Trump knew from the very beginning there was no chance Congress was going to actually come up with a agreement on DACA, so that he wasn't going to have to sign any legislation. But yet, by offering to let Congress do it, he didn't have to take the position of opposing Hispanics or being positioned as if he opposed Hispanics. And it ended up being essentially that the burden on that fell on Schumer, who was seen to have abandoned DACA. I don't think you can basically assume just because Trump is willing to have these issues discussed that he's necessarily thinking it's going to happen. people are saying basically, look, I'm a control. Oh, look, it's funny. Some of these trolls are in here that are amusing. I'm not recommending that we buy Michael Chertoff metal detectors. I'm saying there's a lot of different ways to do security at schools, and we need to have secure entrances and exits. I'm not saying you've got to come out and buy this equipment or buy that equipment. In fact, my main recommendation was get jobs here where we can get the ex-military to be very involved in a second career here, as those who want to be able to have them have careers guarding schools. I think they'd be very good at it. But I don't think Trump has caved in on the bump stocks. I think he's just picked a marginal issue and said, go debate that issue. Just, which is not at the heart of the Second Amendment. That's and has very little chance to go through. I mean, even today, I think I was reading on one of the boards that the Florida legislature is not going to take up these issues of gun control, despite the protests from the kids. Again, the Second Amendment, I think, still has a strong and dedicated lobby of patriots who understand the value of having an armed population. And that's key here. Any of these little, nicking away at the Second Amendment, this exception, that exception, etc. I think we should be moving much more strongly to a country in which we can have concealed carry, and where one state is going to be, other states are going to respect a state that allows concealed carry for the citizens in that state, crossing state lines. These, I think, are issues that make a lot more sense to me in terms of of having a responsibly armed population, which is consistent with the Second Amendment. So, I mean, does that help answer it? I don't know that we can jump to a conclusion that Trump has again been compromised. Trump's pretty cagey when it comes to these things. Very cagey.
That was kind of the upshot that we finally, Pamphlet brought that point up, but it was kind of in the back of most of our minds that we've watched Trump chum toss and troll these guys and get them swimming all in crazy directions at each other. And we thought that probably that was exactly what this was.
I think so. I mean, I've never seen anything that makes him a wanting to get guns out of there. He's very pro Second Amendment, and I don't think that vision's been compromised at all. I've had a thought about these crisis actors, and what I'm kind of contemplating is that when these school shootings occur, the crisis actors kind of pile on to advance the CIA mainstream media narrative. I'm sure that if we're going to start seeing the films, and we're going to start seeing some people who have appeared in other incidents. I'm not at the point of saying the children who died didn't die. I mean, I think these are real shooting incidents and real tragedies. At least that's the way the evidence seems to be so far. And but yet, I can't figure out why we've got companies that are crisis actors. Why do we need crisis actors? That's the question I keep asking. Christina Wilson, investigating these deep state CIA operatives. We've got to investigate the CIA. It's not a waste of money, may cause stress, but we've got to get to the bottom of what the deep state is doing. And I think Trump has the ability and is going to do it. I think we're about to see a counterattack launched. If in fact Mueller's, I was amused to watch Shep Smith today. I don't really know why I had him on, except I was writing. I didn't feel like changing the channel for the moment. He comes on and he starts arguing that Mueller has not eliminated collusion by this Russian indictment, that this was the indictment of Russians' involvement, but it doesn't mean that there wasn't collusion. And he said it also didn't mean that the Russian interference was not determinative of the outcome of the election. Well, I guess he just didn't listen to Rosenstein, because what Rosenstein made clear was that there was no collusion, there was no impact on the election, and if this is all they can find that the Russians did, I think Fox's reporting on this, and particularly Shep Smith, is completely revealing him to be the leftist that he is. And we've known that for a long time. But today, Fox was both on the gun control and on the fact that Mueller has still got an investigation going. And I'm watching them bring this guy into court, this lawyer into court, on another lying to the FBI charge. And I'm saying this is not the way you advance a case that's really strong. This is the way you kind of try to prove to somebody, the people you were worth the money they spent, because at least you produce some indictment. I think it's a complete failure. I think Mueller looks like a total, complete flop. And I think this is going to be one of the big turnarounds as soon as Trump is ready to pull the trigger on it. And by the way, I mean, talk about Trump and the Second Amendment. I've known Trump for a long time. He's as much of a gunslinger as anybody I've ever seen. He doesn't have any hesitation to figuratively, take out his 6-shooter and get the bad guys. And I'm expecting he's going to do it again.
New sheriff.
Yeah, he's a new sheriff in town. And that's, I think, the key issue here that we have to really take into effect. But at any rate, I'm expecting that Nunes and Grassley might this week press for a special counselor once they get organized and get back. And if they do get back, if they do get that organized, I think it could be a complete turnaround of the entire narrative. And it's coming. It's coming very quickly. Why QAnon is silent for a few days, I think has to do with developments that are going on below the surface that he isn't ready to quite yet telegraph. And we're going to see some of these developments begin to emerge in the reversal of the narrative from the idea that Trump was the culprit in the election to the fact that he was the victim. And I'm hoping I'm right on this, but I would certainly like to see a new special counsel appointed that could take on the issues of the Democrats' responsibility and the issues of the FISA permissions to do electronic surveillance based on the Fusion GPS document, on the unmasking and leaking in the White House. There's a whole, raft of things to be investigated here. Comments?
Well, we're hoping the same thing, and we're wondering. I'm wondering my own self: is Trey Gowdy likely to be that special counsel?
I would prefer Andy McCarthy. If I had a choice, I'd pick Andy McCarthy.
Is he still connected to the federal government?
No, he's in private practice. He's now a lawyer in New York. I think he's been doing some things with a couple of publications recently they might be affiliated with. He's doing more writing, editorial writing, but he understands the issues. He gets it. He understands what's involved. And I think Andy McCarthy would be very effective. I think he would truly frightened the Democrats that they thought they had to face Andy McCarthy. But I'm just beginning to really think I understand, getting a handle on this MK Ultra, and understanding that it did not ever go away, and in fact, it has become the mainstream media culture with drugs in the schools, with drugs in and the opiates, with all the drugs we're taking, and the drug controlling the population. The mainstream media, right in lockstep. The New World Order, the globalists want a docile population. They want sheep. They want people who are controlled, people who are asleep, people who are not going to raise any objections to what they tell them to do. This is where I think the CIA's mission was, I think, this mission of controlling the population. And the CIA is supposed to have nothing to do with domestic politics. They're not supposed, their entire charter says they're only supposed to be dealing with foreign enemies, which I think is, again, another part of what the CIA, how they've gone rogue, and have gone rogue almost from the very beginning.
Dr. Corsi,
Yes.
the video I just put up in the Discord chat, this is like the third example of somebody destroying their weapon on them. And this guy he doesn't get it at all.
Which guy is this? Let me see where this is. What
ABC News video.
Oh, here, this guy, Scott Papaladro, who owned his AR-15 for more than 30 years. Okay, he's destroyed his gun to make sure this weapon will never be used to take a life. Yeah, well, that's just mainstream media propaganda right there. That's just, I would doubt this guy is another guy you'd have to say, is he another actor? Is he somebody else paid to do this?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I see Crisis Cast here. Someone's got produces disaster dramas and role plays actors specifically trained by psychologists in criminal and victim behavior for crisis management and disaster recovery simulations.
They've actually got an industry of these guys.
I know they do, and that's what I can't figure out, is that where they have, why we need crisis actors. I mean, this is, again, unless they're another part of the whole charade in the mainstream media that is designed to advance the narrative, the guns are dangerous. The guns are not what's dangerous. What's dangerous are the people. And the people on these drugs, and the people, who are not allowed to protect themselves with weapons, who created these gun-free zones. That's, again, the insanity here. Yes, I saw someone else had this Twitter footage of taking out exiting the building at the Stoneman Douglas High School with a large black bag and putting it in the back of the truck. I couldn't figure out what that was about either, but I remember seeing that. Go ahead.
Well, these gun-free zones are effectively free fire zones because they've got there's nobody to stand against them.
Right. I mean, that's the problem, is that, gun-free zones haven't worked. They've never worked. Gun-free zone is Nazi Germany before the Nazis decided to imprison everybody they didn't like. And what is going to be the solution here is going to be to have more active training and more active availability of responsibly owned weapons so that people can protect themselves. I mean, the idea that you're going to wait in one of these situations for somebody to come and save you is probably a very bad strategy for surviving. Because, you're the one who knows what the situation is going on, and someone who had a concealed weapon or whatever could very easily put an end to these situations. No one having a weapon, you end up hiding in a closet and hoping nobody finds you. I mean, what kind of a solution is that to the problem? It's not a very effective one.
Well, it's the old saying, when seconds count, the police are minutes away.
It's the basic problem. I mean, if you have a car accident or there's a problem on the road and you decide you're going to wait for somebody to come and help you, it's, again, a very losing strategy. I want to post the article I wrote today. I think I want to get that quickly out. It's one we've discussed at length. But I did post the study that's coming out with the Department of Homeland Security, and Alex picked it up. Alex Jones did pick it up, and I think it's going to be, again, the game changer when we get this out. But I made the point to get it out there that we have this kind of advanced look at the study from Q, and this is what it looks like is coming down the road, that we're going to be able to have a game changer in knowing the massive amount of Democratic Party voter fraud that's been going on. Yeah, Mueller's indictment, Enforce pointed out today, traces back to 2012, this lawyer. I just think Mueller's become a joke. I think he's become an embarrassment. And it's time that we pull the plug, unless he's got something more than he's shown us so far, pull the plug on it altogether. I'm going to post this article on what I today from that I wrote in InfoWars at the beginning of the day on the proof of massive Democratic Party voter fraud that's about to be made public. Okay, here we go.
I visited a school in the Philippines, and they had a fence higher than you could scale around the school, and 2 armed policemen, and everyone went past there. The parents could go inside the school the first day of school, and after that, you didn't get past the policeman.
Well, I mean, these are the kinds of things that will protect. If the kids want to feel safe, and you want to feel safe sending your children to a school, better that it has armed guards at the door, at the entrance, in the building. I would like to see increasing numbers of teachers being able to have concealed carry. These, what we need an expansion of responsible gun training. I'd like to see, gun training in the schools. We ought to have gun training in the high schools.
Absolutely.
So, and again, if you want to do it, so we have, again, military or ex-military involved, police or ex-police, law enforcement involved. Let's get responsible expansion of the knowledge of how to have an armed society so that we're not dependent on the only ones being armed being the criminals and the crazies that are drugged up. That's not going to be a solution. I want to take the drugs out of the schools, take the Ritalin out, take the drugging out of the kids. And if the kids have behavioral issues, I want to redesign the schools. So the kids who are feeling bored or the kids who want a little bit of a different environment than sitting in the rows have some alternatives. I see no reason why, if kids can challenge the exams and advance, they have to sit in a grade and wait while everybody else learns something to advance on their own. We should have different tracks in these schools where kids can reach their potential. Instead, we've got things like crisis actors around who are here to teach us how we need to be dependent on government to solve our problems. That's not going to be a solution. That's just not going to work. And the idea that we're going to have less terrorism or fewer crazies in the society is also not a good way to predict or to hopefully we can have a healthier society. We can have people reach their potential and have more opportunity to reach their potential. But at the same time, even our founding fathers understood that having weapons around was fundamental to security. And it wasn't just because they wanted them to be in a militia. It was the ability to have a weapon at hand to meet whatever danger or whatever need you had without waiting for somebody to give you permission and come and help you. Piece of myself, I'm describing Montessori. Not really describing Montessori. I mean, the Montessori is a particular version of school. I mean, I have in mind more that there could be different school environments that you could get into. I mean, I had the same problem when I was in school. I left. I was a truant. I just wouldn't stay. Even starting very young. People ask if I want to run for office. No, I don't have any intention to run for office. I'm going to continue doing what I'm doing, which is, writing and commenting and researching. I like investigative journalism. It's probably one of the highest, best uses for the talents I have. I like the investigative journalism. I don't want to run for office. And I'm just looking here at some of the other people pointing out padded cells for behavioral health installation sites, padded cells. There's probably some use for those, but again, I'm not a psychologist or a psychiatrist, and I think that we are all too often finding solutions to drug peoples and finding solutions to control people when, in fact, I'm much more interested in letting people reach the potential, whatever the potential they have is. I mean, no, I basically, when I was not going to go to school, I mostly, spent a lot of time in libraries, spent a lot of time with my father in Washington. I much preferred to see what was going on in Washington or watch the hearings, a lot of hearings on. I loved watching the McClellan Committee hearings, and before that, the Kefauver hearings. And that's, I think, key in the in my education. The longer I went to school, the less I formally sat in a classroom. I always found other ways to, if I wanted to go to a library and read the books, that'd be fine. I didn't see why I had to sit in the classroom to do it. I'm hoping that Sessions will do his job. I'm just looking, to see what the points are over here. I'd like to give you a couple of things I'm going to watch for this week. And then I hear the family getting going. It's going to be time for me to quit this now. I want to focus on kind of watching the signs of how the news cycle develops. Today was kind of like a day to get back. Somehow or other, people really took this 3 days and unplugged. And DC really did unplug. I think the Democrats realize that their narratives have come to an end. They're not going to be able to prove collusion. They're making a fool of themselves with charging 13 crazy Russians with being trolls and charging more lawyers with lying to the FBI. That's not why Mueller is there. Mueller is ruining his career. He will be unemployable by any law firm. He's going to be completely viewed as a hack. And, even the Democrats are not going to want him around because he didn't do what they wanted him to do. He didn't produce indictments of Trump. He didn't get an impeachment. And he's not going to, because that evidence doesn't exist. If the counterattack takes shape, I'm expecting to see it come out of Congress with Grassley, Nunes taking very effective action and really focusing their attention on getting a special prosecutor. I'm going to be watching that. So I kind of thought to end by saying I think we're at a turning point here, and that I expect in the next few weeks to see, as Q said, that the hunters are going to become the hunted. And for those who get considered Q go away, is Q gone? Is Q going to come back? All the indications I've got, including intuitive, are that beneath the surface there's a lot happening right now with Trump, and that we will start seeing Q reemerge without too much time being passed. And when it's important, we're going to see it in a major way. What I'd like to do, if we don't have new Q posts, what I'd like to do is to work with Pamphlet and others to schedule some time this week where we can take a couple hours on various days at specific times and do things like study the map. How's the map put together? Review previous posts, but to really understand how the map works and how all this can be tied together in a couple of sessions where we are not focused so deeply on trying to decode an immediate new post, but can look back at how all these posts are fitting together. I'm seeing that if we can get this working and we get Q through what I think is going to be a very successful counterattack, I'm hoping that the Q personality and entity can continue with us after Trump is reelected. And I'm planning that we're going to work through to get Trump elected. So my perspective is not whether Q is posting today or tomorrow, but the long-range plan that we're only 1 year into what I'm hoping is going to be an 8-year presidency.
Dr. Corsi?
Yes.
We started going through the posts, the Q posts, all the way from number 1. I believe we made it up through somewhere in the 40s, maybe up to 47 or 48. We would dearly love to have you come and sit in with us as we go through some of these earlier posts. It would be great to have your intellect involved in that.
Well, let's just schedule it with, let's get Pamphlet and others involved, and let's really start to schedule some time. And I'll commit some time this week, on a schedule, which we can do since we're not just responding to when Q is posting. We can schedule it, and I can put time in, and that way we can, have a plan for this week to review things, archive things, get into the map, and create some broadcasts here that will I can put we can put them so that I'll put them up on my YouTube and other ways that we can go back, and people who are new to this can go back and review those as ones that'll get them current more quickly with what we've already covered. So if you'll work with Pamphlet, and Pamphlet will give me some times, I think we can figure that out.
Absolutely. We'll bring that up when Pamphlet comes in again.
Okay, so God bless, and I will catch up with you again sometime to kind of work with Pamphlet to see if we get this schedule together.
God bless. We're looking forward to it.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye.